Welcome to the Weekly Haul, every Friday where we summarize all the events that are happening in the news this week. I actually want to focus this week a little bit more on fraudulent activity. So there's a lot of things happening in our industry, there's a lot of buzz, there's a lot of great articles. So let's summarize it right now. Article number 1. So, conspiracy to disable truck emissions control nets guilty plea. A truck repair shop owner in Wilmington, North Carolina has pleaded guilty to federal conspiracy charge for tampering with truck emission systems. There's a lot of money that is being spent on emission controls, changing the filters, cleaning those filters out. I understand, but again, if you're tampering with them. So in this case, the illegal activity involving disabling federally required emission controls on hundreds of commercial trucks to improve performance at the cost of increased environmental pollution. By bypassing emission control system, the truck emitted pollution. So anyways, they basically deactivate the DPF and DEF filters. As a result of the plea, the shop owner faces up to 5 years in federal prison and fines up to $250,000. The guy probably charged about $10,000 to $15,000 per truck, hundreds of trucks. It's a slap on the wrist. The 5 years in prison is going to be a tough one for sure. Sentencing is scheduled on March 19th. What did we learn? Don't mess around with your emission controls. Next one. Former manager sentenced to prison for embezzling $1.5 million from California trucking company. Gabriel Ruz de Chavez, 47 years old, was sentenced on November 25th to 2 years and 9 months in prison for embezzling $1.5 million from his employer, a trucking company based in Fresno, California. Between 2012 and 2019, as an operations manager, he created over 600 fraudulent invoices and checks, depositing the funds to his personal account. My God. The money was used for personal expenses like credit cards, mortgages, and vacations. No shit. Okay, so really important, guys. You have to trust who you hire. So if I hired somebody in charge of accounting, accounts payables, accounts receivables, it's very easy to stuff in invoices. I mean, if you don't have checks or managers checking or checks that are in place before funds are being deposited. But I think with a very clever person, a lot of people can get away with this, with stuffing fake invoices, especially when you are an operations manager. Unbelievable. Okay, so sentencing, 2 years and 9 months in prison. I don't know, was that enough for him? You guys tell me. $1.5 million from a trucking company. We do need to talk about this, about the Mexico and Canada, about Trump warning that 25% tariffs can come to both Canada and Mexico. For somebody that lives in Canada, this is very devastating news. This can definitely impact the trade. Obviously, if he slaps 25%, there's going to be a lot less coming in from Canada going into the US. I do believe that this is a high point. It's definitely a starting point for negotiation. There's actually a deal in place until 2026, so I really don't think it's going to affect anything short term. I'm talking about Q1 of 2025, but I do think that somewhere they're going to settle. Definitely there's going to be an increase. How much of an increase? I don't think 25% is reasonable. I do think it's going to impact, and from Mexico, definitely the same thing. Next one, and the last one article, ex-NFL player business partner indicted on PPP fraud charges. What is PPP? Paycheck Protection Program. So again, during COVID, the government was helping out companies that are struggling. A lot of companies took advantage of this. A lot of companies were, misleading in their papers, misleading in their gross sales, misleading in their expenses. And this is now the second bust week after week that we see. This time it's an ex-NFL player, former NFL player Daryl Tapp, and business partner Stephen Scott and Kristen Minger face federal charges for defrauding the Paycheck Protection Program system. Prosecution alleges that they filed fraudulent loan applications for trucking and logistics companies in Virginia and North Carolina, inflating payroll numbers to secure over $6 million in funds. Holy shit. Instead of using the money, like always, they use it for personal use, purchased luxury items, paid off personal debts, and funded other unauthorized expenses. If convicted, they face fines and up to 30 years in prison. So again, they're probably going to get about 2, 3, maybe 4 years based on what I can see in prison. But anyways, this is our weekly haul. Stay with us every single Friday where we recap the latest news in trucking. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm Ronan, and I'll catch you in my next one.